Canada slinks deeper into tyranny. Why this is a critical wake-up call for all of us. Let's jump in. Welcome back to another video. My name is Ian Major. I'm an entrepreneur, Bitcoin pleb, and all-around raging capitalist. And I wasn't planning on doing this video, but I thought the events that have unfolded over the last few days really warrant getting this message out. Today we're going to pick apart some of the latest coming out of Canada in terms of how the regulators and government there are really going after individuals who are in any way, shape, or form involved in the sort of freedom convoy and supporting the truckers. So we're going to pick apart some of that recent news, and then I'm going to go into a couple best practices that we should all be thinking about. And even if you are well along your journey and deep into the rabbit hole already, I would encourage you and urge you to share this with a friend. We all know that individual or maybe individuals that still have their Bitcoin on a centralized exchange. This is getting mission critical. This is becoming a clear signal of what's to come. If you think, no matter where you are in the world, if you think it can't happen here, Canada is proving you wrong. So welcome back for those returning to the channel. For those of you who are new, I welcome you as well. If you like this content, I invite you to consider subscribing. But without further ado, let's jump in and first take a look at what has happened. So admittedly, this has been unfolding over the last few days, but there was one article in particular that really caught my attention today. This is February 22nd, and it is entitled, "Canadian Regulators Demand Crypto Exchanges Not to Promote Self-Custodial Wallets." And a lot of you reading, I'll put all these links in the description down below for you to take a look at, but a lot of you reading this might just say, like, it's obviously fake, obviously clickbait, there's just no way. But it is absolutely true. So let's just read some of this. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police are investigating whether tweets by the CEOs of cryptocurrency exchanges Coinbase and Kraken that pushed for self-custody of digital assets violated the sanctions put in place to quell trucker protests against COVID restrictions in Canada. The Canadian securities regulator, the Ontario Securities Commission, reported the tweets to the federal police on the grounds that it felt the crypto executives were providing advice on how to circumvent the restrictions put on the funds. Okay? And let's look at some of the tweets. Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, concerning to see stuff like this happening in any country, especially such an economically free place like Canada. Self-custodial wallets are important. I mean, like, nothing particularly nefarious about that, right? He's having an opinion. And so apparently to the regulators in Canada, having an opinion is illegal. And Brian is a dangerous terrorist, apparently. Jesse Powell wrote very enlighteningly, "Please do not fund causes directly from custodial wallets. I'm sure freeze orders are coming. Withdraw to non-custodial before sending." There's another piece here. Canadian police block over 30 crypto wallets associated with the Freedom Convoy truckers. There's kind of a whole list of cryptocurrency wallets that they have basically ordered any FinTrack organization in Canada to stop interacting with 34 crypto wallets. I mean, just insane stuff. There's another report here from a few days back, or this is just yesterday actually. Again, OSC flags Emergencies Act tweets by Kraken Coinbase CEOs to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I mean, this is like, just take a moment and let this sink in. Blah, blah, blah. The incident demonstrates how cryptocurrency's big business aspirations are clashing with its anti-government roots amid the current state of emergency. We are aware of this information and have shared it with the RCMP and relevant federal authorities. The emergency orders announced Monday require a broad range of financial players, including cryptocurrency trading platforms, to continuously monitor for any activity related to, quote, designated persons and report it to law enforcement and the Financial Transactions and Report Analysis Center of Canada if they find it. The definition of, quote, designated persons includes those who, quote, use, collect, provide, make available, or invite a person to provide property in support of the protesters. This could literally mean I walked up with a folding chair and offered some old lady, who was peacefully protesting, a chair. So there you have it. There's also the actual kind of text of the Emergency Economic Measures Order itself. There is this link that, again, I will link, but it's just totally nonsense, garbled, self-referential language that essentially makes it so that they can target whomever they want for whatever reason that they want. Okay, so what do we do about this, right? And again, maybe you're well along your journey, or maybe there are some areas where you can further improve. And perhaps as well, individuals who really need to step their game up when it comes to self-custody. So what are some of the best practices? Number one, it should be pretty self-evident. Get your coins off exchanges. Get them off of any centralized entity or exchange where you don't hold your coins. Now, there may be valid exceptions. Platforms like Celsius, maybe you're earning interest on a portion of your stack. I would personally recommend doing that on, as I just said, a portion of your stack, right? Recognize the risk here, which is only just escalated with what we're seeing in Canada. So be really, really careful. So that's step one. Get your coins off centralized entities, particularly exchanges, ideally to a cold storage wallet, which we will get to in a second. But even if you don't have a hardware wallet, do not let that halt you from getting your coins off the exchange. There are a number of great Bitcoin desktop wallets that you can download on your laptop. These include things like Sparrow Wallet, includes things like Wasabi Wallet, Electrum, Spectre. There's a lot here. I mean, if you forced me to make a recommendation, I've been using Sparrow Wallet quite a lot these days. And so that would be kind of my recommendation for a desktop wallet. Let's say you don't have a laptop or a computer of any kind, like you probably have a mobile phone. How else are you watching this? And so there are some great mobile apps as well. Blue Wallet would probably be my favorite, that both has a regular Bitcoin and a Bitcoin Lightning wallet built in, right? And that on your phone, like that is your custody. You're holding those keys. Those keys are stored on your device. And so, that's step one, right? Get it off the exchange, even if you don't yet have a hardware wallet. We'll get to that in just a minute. Step two, at least reevaluate how you're acquiring Bitcoin. Look, I'm not going to preach to people, thou shalt only buy non-KYC Bitcoin or else you're not going to make it, right? Like there's a spectrum of privacy here, and I just don't know that it's reasonable to have this level of expectation of everyone. But I would encourage you to at least push yourself and ask the question, what more can you be doing? So for example, there might be some individuals who are still going to buy and acquire Bitcoin through KYC methods such as a centralized exchange, but then maybe they have a separate little accumulation pile of sats that they're acquiring through non-KYC means. Something like BISC, which has gotten better and better. Something like CoinFlip ATM. I've done videos on both of these methods for how you can acquire Bitcoin in a non-KYC fashion, and I would urge you to at least consider placing that as part of your stacking methodology. If you do go the KYC route as a predominant way that you're acquiring Bitcoin, I would encourage you to look into something like Swan Bitcoin. Swan allows you to set up a dollar cost averaging plan, which allows you to put the same amount of fixed fiat in every week, every day, whatever you want to configure. And it lets you auto withdraw after you reach a certain threshold in Bitcoin to an external wallet of your choosing. So you can put the withdrawal process on autopilot as well. This is crucial so that you don't forget and have a big pile of Bitcoin sitting with a centralized entity. So I would highly recommend just at least doing some soul searching in that regard. Again, there's a whole spectrum. You could go full non-KYC, and I think that's like gold medal. Silver medal is to do a mix of both, but be critically sure to keep those piles of sats separate, because if you mix your non-KYC with your KYC, you're undoing the whole point of the non-KYC in the first place. A bronze metal would be something like, dollar cost averaging on Swan and auto withdrawing into an external wallet of your choosing. Okay. Step 3, if you haven't already in step 1, make sure you're getting a hardware wallet. Now, the point of this video isn't really to kind of sell you on cold storage necessarily. It's primarily to sell you on getting it off of exchanges. But I really do think a good hardware wallet goes a long way in terms of security, ensuring that your keys are not in any sort of online device that can be connected to the internet, where bad things can happen. And so my recommendations here would be things like the Foundation Devices Passport, fully open source, Bitcoin only, supports QR codes in addition to micro SD cards for air-gapped Bitcoin transactions. Or the cold card is, of course, also an excellent option as well. Those would probably be my 2 picks. There's also some good other options, but again, if you're forcing me to make a recommendation, that would be what I would say. If some of those terms I just mentioned are a bit foreign, don't worry. Again, I have tutorials that go in depth, step by step, into a whole range of combinations in terms of hardware wallets, etc. And so I will link that both here on the screen as well as in the description down below for you to check out. Step number 4, consider mixing a portion at least of your Bitcoin stack. What do I mean by mixing? I mean coin joining. So using either Samurai Wallet's Whirlpool implementation. Samurai Wallet is a Android-only mobile wallet, or you can alternatively use Sparrow Wallet as a desktop wallet that has integrated the Whirlpool implementation. Or alternative to that, you can use Wasabi Wallet, which has its own CoinJoin implementation in it as well. And so what CoinJoin is, I've done a whole couple of videos, in fact, on CoinJoin, but it obfuscates or severs the go-forward identity of your coin. So let's say that you do in fact acquire some Bitcoin from a exchange that knows everything about you. Essentially what a CoinJoin transaction allows you to do is to kind of take your coins, and there's the great meme of Homer kind of like sinking into the hedge or whatever. That's kind of what's happening. Imagine surrounding yourself with many identical or multiple identical transactions that all look exactly the same. And so what happens is ultimately on the other side of that transaction, it becomes really hard for surveillance firms, chain surveillance firms, to distinguish and say with confidence that this particular output from the transaction is connected with this particular input. And so it sort of severs the go-forward identity of those coins. However, what it doesn't do is erase the fact that you purchased from a KYC entity. It'll never erase that fact. So refer back to step 2. The reason I encourage you to consider doing this for a portion is that you should at least be advised that there have been cases, let's say that something happens, medical emergency, and you need to sell some of your Bitcoin for fiat to pay medical expenses or whatever it is, right? There have been cases where individuals who have redeposited Bitcoin into, centralized exchanges have been contacted because their deposits were flagged as having funds that have been that appear to have been mixed, right? So it's pretty easy for chain surveillance firms to see that a transaction on the blockchain is likely a coin join. And so there have been some instances of that. And so you might want to, even if you're sort of hardcore privacy, you might want to at least hedge against this and have a portion of your stack that remains unmixed, or use something like the Samurai Wallet's Ricochet tool, which is a post-mix spending tool that sort of routes your payment through multiple hops so that by the time it ends up in a centralized kind of exchange, your multiple hops removed from the mixing. And some of the heuristics that they use at these centralized entities is typically to look back only a couple steps or hops. And so Ricochet by Samurai Wallet, they've thought of absolutely everything. If you haven't checked out Samurai Wallet, by the way, just sort of standalone shout out for what a great product that is. I've done a whole video, which I'm flashing up on the screen now. So again, challenge you to at least think about this, but be mindful of, I hate to say it, of the risks in terms of sort of liquidity. And this does get to the heart of what some folks will often say, which is Bitcoin doesn't have perfect fungibility. And even though that's false on the protocol level, it does have some truth when you think about the level at which humans are sort of interpreting the history of different UTXOs. So that's step 4. Step 5, this is a sort of open letter to all of you around the world. Think of how you can contribute to making Bitcoin a circular economy, meaning that we use Bitcoin to spend on goods and services. The second that we get there, or the quicker that we get there, the less we have to worry about on-ramps and off-ramps, such as between, centralized entities like exchanges. And so this is humongous. So anything around, merchant payment processing, anything to help individuals sort of accept Bitcoin as payment is going to go a long way in this fight. And until we get there, the on-ramps and off-ramps are going to remain a massive censorship risk. And so something to think about. With that, my friends, let's go ahead and conclude this video. There you have it. We went into some rather sobering developments within Canada. It is really sad to see this just absolute descent into tyranny, the kind of demonization of individuals that have in any way, shape, or form supported a movement around freedom and the importance of freedom. It is truly disgusting to see. But nonetheless, we have to do what we can. And so we went through a couple best practices. I rattled off 5 best practices to consider. And so take a look at some of the other resources on this channel that are connected to those different steps and best practices. But I'm curious to hear what you think as well. What else? What have I missed? What are some of the tactics that you think about? What are some of the tools that you use? Let us know in the comments down below. But I hope you found this valuable and interesting. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. But for now, my friends, we're going to go ahead and leave this video here. As a reminder, every sat counts, but only if you have your keys for it. Until next time, I'll see you then.